Hello, Miss Music. How are you? Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Let's Talk Parenting. This is where we talk the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly side of parenting, co-parenting. Any tips you have for single mothers out there, mothers to be, or even fathers as well. Let's start off by who are you? Who is Jordan Music?
I am a singer-songwriter. I have 2 kids, 10.5 years apart. I don't know. Who am I? I'm me.
Okay. You work, you singer-songwriter.
I am, yeah.
So you write all your songs?
I write all my songs.
You sing all your songs?
I sing all my songs, definitely.
Can we get a sample of you singing?
You want a sample?
Yeah, that.
No.
You know what? I don't like when musicians, you like, for people who can't sing, we don't understand why if someone can sing, they just wouldn't sing.
It's the mental. It's about like preparation.
Fair enough. So on the next time, I'm preparing you now. On the next show, please, if you don't mind singing for us.
Maybe at the end, you might get lucky. Does that work?
That works.
All right, cool.
What other choice
Compromise.
do we have to take? No, as I said before, thank you for coming on. So let's start from the beginning. So as you said, you got 2 kids. Mm-hmm. How many years apart?
They're 10.5 years apart.
How old are you, if I may ask?
I'm 35, 36 this year.
35, 36 years of age. Towards the end of the year? Middle of the year?
Towards the end of the year.
Towards the end. And your firstborn is?
15 in August.
15 in August?
Yeah.
And you're 36 this year?
Yeah, I had him at 20.
Thank you for taking away my
You're welcome. I
can
see you trying to work it out.
Now I was going to do 15, divide 30, half of 30 is 15, so that's 15, 36 plus on the 6, so you'd be 20, because you're 26 this year. See,
yeah.
Not bad.
I turned 21 maybe 2 months after he was born.
Wow. What was that like at 20? I mean, I guess at 20 you are an adult. We've had guests who've had kids younger. What was your mental state like at 20 and having...
Looking back now, I would say to the government I was an adult, but I definitely wasn't an adult. Do you know what I mean? Like physically, I was prepared to have my son, but emotionally and mentally wasn't so much.
You wasn't... Was you in a relationship with the father?
I was up until I was about 4 or 5 months gone. And yeah, so basically he just, about 4 or 5 months, he was just like, I know you can handle it, and disappeared.
4 months into the pregnancy, he said, I know you can handle it, and he disappeared. Yeah,
because there was basically rumours going around that he was expecting another child. I found out about it, he denied it, and then not long after that he ran off.
Let's part that. We're gonna get back to that.
Okay.
How long have you not known each other prior to that?
I met him when I was 12. He was 13. So up until that point, we'd known each other for a good 7 or 8 years.
And how long was you in a relationship?
Not for long. For maybe 8 months.
So 8 months into the relationship, you got
pregnant. But I will say, prior to getting pregnant, we were seeing each other. We were dating.
Okay.
I had a major loss. I lost my grandmother. I had a little bit of a emotional breakdown, and so I moved out of the area to sort of ground myself, gather my emotions, heal basically, and then when I came back, we got back in contact, and I was pregnant pretty soon after that.
Where's he from? What country is he from? Area?
He's Jamaican background. Sorry, it's your face. But yeah, he's Jamaican background.
Basically, right? We've had a lot of guests on this show. And the Jamaican men, for some strange reason, I don't know why, they seem to be very good at, and not all the men, by the way, just people on this show.
Yeah.
Most of them have been Jamaican men. and they seem to be very good at walking out. So
on their children.
I'm hoping we get more. Sorry, carry on. Jamaican men, I don't even know what to say. Obviously, this doesn't apply to every Jamaican man.
No, because, I will say what I need to say further on, but no.
I got taught was he a Yardie? Was he Jamaican?
No, Jamaican, British born.
So he wasn't a Yardie?
No.
Because apparently there's a difference, which I learned.
I think there's a difference, but I still don't think that difference makes a difference in regards to how they show up for their kids.
Not all Jamaican men, ladies and gentlemen.
No, not all. Definitely not. I know some Jamaican men who are great fathers.
Yeah, me too.
What I mean? So I definitely wouldn't put them all in one box for sure. Yeah. I would say it's to do with childhood trauma and issues that doesn't get resolved, and then they repeat particular patterns. That's what I would say. So that can show up in all ethnicities. Do you know what I mean?
It just so happened we had more Jamaican men here than any other.
Unfortunately.
Yet. I mean, the show is still growing. We're still young. Okay, so you come back due to heavy loss. My condolences for that.
Thanks.
Then you were friends before, so you found comfort in him.
Yeah.
And you went out on a few dates.
Yeah.
And then you made it official?
Yeah.
Or did you assume it was official?
No, we made it official. I had no idea that he had a whole nother life, though. I was very busy working.
So at this point, you're 19?
Yeah.
And he's 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and then we got pregnant with my son, and I was about 4 or 5 months gone. He said he couldn't be there. Then he called about a month later because he wanted to know what the sex of the baby was. I always knew I was having a son, just confirmed it, basically. And then he disappeared again until due date.
So you told him the due date?
He always knew the due date from the beginning.
So was you in communication here and there?
Not once he said to me that he believes that I can handle being pregnant and basically raising my son single-handedly. I've been on my own since I was very young, so not saying it's okay, but I think that's where he was.
How did that make you feel?
At the time. Sorry. I felt abandoned. I was scared. I felt a sense of shame because obviously I never believed that I would be in that kind of predicament. I don't think any mother who's made a child and my son was planned, we was in agreement, we're going to make a baby. You know what I mean? It wasn't shit happens kind of situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, I felt disappointed. I felt a sense of shame. I was worried about how my family would take it, being the only girl out of 4. You know, I sort of knew that my parents would be disappointed in the fact that I don't have a man by my side. My mum's only daughter, my dad's firstborn. I was worried about how my brothers would look at me, and I wasn't worried about whether I could manage because, you know, I'd been a very full hands-on auntie up until that point. But yeah, I felt a sense of shame. I was disappointed. I was worried for my unborn's future.
So due date comes around now.
Yeah.
What was he saying?
I was in labour. I remember it was like Sunday afternoon. I was watching EastEnders at my godmother's house, having contractions. My phone rings and it's him. His first question was, have you had the baby yet? Not how are you, not sorry for not being in contact, just has the baby come yet? No, I just happened to be in labour, so I let him know that. He said that he would try and show up.
Try?
Yeah.
Did he show up?
He didn't show up until the next day, although when I was in labour, my mum took it upon herself to call him, which irritated me.
Why?
Because I like to be in control of my own life, 1. 2, it was just highlighting the sense of shame and the fact that, you know, I'm in labour, I'm about to give birth and my child's father is not here by my side. So it was difficult when I believe that in that moment you should be solely focused on bringing a life into the world and not worried about, you know, everyone else and how everyone else is thinking or how they're going to look at you, or do you know what I mean?
Maybe that was a way of your mum trying to look out for you.
Yeah, I know that. Obviously, I know that now. In the moment, though, it was just like, get off the phone. You know what I mean?
So the next day he comes.
He came the next morning.
Baby's out.
Yeah, my son was here.
Healthy.
Looking just like him. Healthy. And yeah, he showed his face, which was also strange. But, you know, I was young. There was like a need in me for him to accept his son, accept me. And I think that need was way more powerful than, where have you been? Why was you not here? I think I was just more, you know, I was more content in the fact that he'd actually shown up.
Don't stop.
Yeah. But the fear of knowing that he was like on his way, and the fear of knowing that he could possibly bump into one of my parents was major for me.
Why? What would your parents say or do, or what was you so scared of?
My mum probably would have strung him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my dad is a lot more laid back in a sense of, I've always been pretty sensible. I've always been able to sort of have and take control of my life. Been in and out of care since I was like 11, 12. Never made any crazy, you know, decisions that have got me into crazy circumstances up until that point.
I like the way you said crazy.
I say crazy because
so I made
a lot of bad decisions. Do you know what I mean? But not like, oh my gosh, no, she didn't kind of thing. Well, I'd like to think so. But yeah, my dad was there when he came, and my dad's a lot more laid back. So he kind of shook his hand and was like, you all right? You know what I mean? Nice to meet you.
I guess at this point, everyone's thinking, you know what? Baby's here now.
Yeah.
Everyone is excited.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. So we're going to do right.
Yeah. And try and be amicable for the sake of myself and
that's key.
My son.
Yeah, I believe that's key.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, there's no
like
need.
That.
Yeah.
Of course. And my dad's more like that. He's more of the peacemaker. Whereas my mum, she's Scorpio. She's like, I'm going to tell you what I think. Do you know what I mean? She's very much like that. So
what happened after that then? What happened when baby was home?
So he said he'd come back. I got released from hospital, I don't know, maybe like 48 hours after that. He was due to come back. I remember dressing up my son in you know, clothes, saying like baby girl, saying daddy's boy or something along them lines. I can't remember exactly, but something about daddy.
So you're still desperate at this point for...
Yeah, of course.
For father and son to be good.
Of course. Especially with the fact that up until that point, I was of the understanding that, you know, he's already got 2 daughters. My son's his only son. So surely he will make...
So he had 2 daughters prior to your son?
No. He had 1 daughter prior to my son.
Oh, so that rumour was true?
What rumour?
Because you said there was a rumour going around that
yeah.
you and the other woman was pregnant at the same time.
She had her first baby in February. My son was born in August. And then she had her second baby in January. So basically he had 3 kids born in the space of 12 months.
And so with that woman, it was 2 kids. Mm-hmm. And with you was one child. Did you know about the other child before you got with him?
No, I didn't. I knew about the first child when I was about 5 months gone, when I heard the rumours.
Did you confront him?
Yeah, of course.
And he said?
He lied and said that the person who informed me was chatting rubbish in so many words.
So once you confirmed that the second time around, did he still stand by his story?
No, and the second time around, when I found out about the second baby, I literally got back from St. Lucia and Barbados. I was gone for about 6 weeks. Came back, scrolling through Facebook, being nosy, came across some information.
So you went looking for it?
Yeah.
Okay. You had every right to in this case.
Definitely. But I wanted answers. Do you know what I mean? And I just kind of felt like, where are you? Before I went to St. Lucia, he'd showed up saying that, you know, he wants to make things work, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I say now, at the age that I'm at now, I can look back and say,
really?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But the need to, and the dream of not wanting to let the dream go of, you know, having a family and wanting to be loved and accepted was still very much evident. The passion was still very much there. And without really processing it mentally, I was willing to compromise myself for the sake of, you know, having my son's father around.
Apart from him being not a good dad at that point, was he a nice person?
He was a good friend. And I think that's where a lot of the disappointment stemmed from, because I believed that I knew him.
Was he a good boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were young. I look back now and I think to myself, yeah, we dated. Yeah, he was caring, attentive. I felt like he wasn't keeping secrets. I felt like...
Boy, was you wrong.
Yeah, massively. Massively.
So, at what point did their co-parents start to deteriorate between you and him?
There was no co-parenting.
From the beginning?
From the beginning. You know, he would pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. And for years, I never like closed the door. But as my son
what was that
older,
like for you?
I constantly felt abandoned. I'd let him in, and then, you know, things wouldn't go the way either one of us. I wouldn't put the sole blame on him, because I believe that I was also going through a lot of things that I needed to heal myself and work through. So I wouldn't put it all on him, but I would say that we both came from troubled dynamics in the family home growing up to a certain extent. And, you know, I was the one that was like, so to speak, left with the baby. I had to grow up. There was no room for more error to that kind of grand, you know, like that kind of scale. There was no room for more error. So having my dad in my life, although my dad is not perfect, he's always been very present. I did my best to sort of try and make sure that he was able to have access to his son.
How old is your son now?
He's 15 in a few months.
What's the conversations like?
Between me and him? At this point, I'm very honest with my son to a certain extent. And when I say to a certain extent, with the understanding that I have on psychology and, you know, mental development and childhood trauma and all that sort of stuff, you know, I just sort of say to my son that your dad's got his own trauma to heal. I believe that he loves his son very much. But
Why so? Why do you believe that?
I think that it's easier to face someone that you love when you don't believe that you've disappointed them on a deep scale. Knowing him from such a young age, you know, I remember him passionately talking about how he wouldn't make the same mistakes his dad did, and how much it meant for him to be there for his kids, especially when he has his son. And I just don't believe that he was able to show up for his son the way that he truly wanted to. And with that being said, I believe that that's created this level of gap and disconnect, because he's not emotionally connected to himself and the child in him and what he went through. And I think that's why he's not able to face my son, because it's like looking at himself in the mirror. And I think that's a hard pill to swallow for someone.
It's amazing after all of this, you still find reasoning for it to make sense of his actions. I'm not
it's taken
suggesting
time.
whether you're right or wrong. I'm just saying it's amazing that you've come to this conclusion.
There has to be reasoning. not just that, I've been on my own journey of healing and finding myself and understanding how my own childhood traumas has affected me as an adult, as a mother, how I show up in society. And I think that it's important for me to find compassion for, you know, who I've made children with from that aspect. I don't think they're perfect. You know, I think that he's wrong, but everyone's on their own journey and everybody learns their lessons in their own time. What would be a massive shame is that he decides to show up consistently one day and my son is a man. He's already a young man, but man enough to say, well, you know what? My mum's done all the hard work. I don't really need you for anything now. And I feel that sadness because I know that he wouldn't feel good about his son dealing with him like that, but it would be justified. What I'm trying to do is raise compassionate, forgiving children. And I think that I'm achieving that. I feel like I'm achieving that. And I'm not saying that my son doesn't miss his dad, but I think that my son's come to an understanding where he realizes that when his dad says he's going to be around and then he doesn't come around, what it does to him emotionally and mentally, and how long it takes for him to come back from that sense of abandonment. And so now he's sort of in a place where he's just like, whatever, mum.
How do you deal with that? I mean, as the disappointment can only hurt you as much as it hurts him. So how do you, because now you have to be there for your son.
You got to put your big girl pants on, innit? What's
that like? How do you, because, you know, there's a lot of parents out there, single parents, who don't know how to do it. They'll crumble. They just see rage and they feel resentful. They see pain, and that's.
I went through that. I went through resentment. I went through pain. I went through disappointment. I went through all of it. But at the same time, we are the creator of our worlds, you know, and having the understanding that I have now, the choices that I made for myself, as much as I don't regret my son, was on me, wasn't on anyone else, because everyone has free will. Do you know what I mean? So at this stage, I don't cast blame. I believe that, yes, when you get to a place of acceptance, I think it's a lot easier to let go of resentment,
how did
pain.
You get there? Because did you do the bitterness thing where you're using your son as a weapon?
No, I never did that. Okay. Never did that. I don't believe in that. And that's the thing. No matter how many times he came in and out, I always said, here you go. As he got older, it was like, do you want to see your dad? And if he said, yeah, here you go. So
you then switched from asking him instead of the dad?
Yeah, of course. Because my son's feelings matter. You know, and when he got to the stage where he would say no, I would then sit down and say, well, why? You know, because I don't want my son to regret or blame himself for going through stages of, I don't want to see my dad. God forbid anything was to happen to his dad. I don't want my son to carry any kind of guilt because he didn't see his dad when his dad was demanding his presence. You know what I mean? I don't think that would be fair on my son. So that's why I think it's important to be open, and it's important to have a certain sense of knowledge before you have particular conversations with your children about, you know, their other parent who may not be present. And that's for men and women. You know what I mean?
Wow. That's so interesting you say that, because the fact that you've come to this realization, obviously you said it was a long journey. A lot of people get stuck in that hate, that resentment, because they just can't get over, especially how he did you. I mean, I've heard so many stories. How he did you, had another life, walked out on you 4 months in, came back on and off, and you're still finding ways to forgive him and be understanding. And for you to say you believe he still loves his son and you've justified your reason. Take us through that journey where you said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm tired of hating. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being resentful. I need to find peace?
10.5 years later, when I when I had my daughter.
Okay, it wasn't that easy, ladies and gentlemen.
It took me a long time. To get to a place where I knew that I needed to let go of pain that I'd held on to for so long. It took me a long time. But that's why I say I don't believe that having my son at 20, I was mentally or emotionally prepared for the journey that was ahead of me.
Okay. So let's fast forward.
Okay.
You're 30 years of age now.
I'm 30 years of age.
You meet the right man.
No, I didn't.
At the time,
I felt like he was the right man, yeah.
Knowing what you knew of the previous man, what was your decision in making the choice for the next man?
To be honest with you.
Because you're older now.
Yeah.
You're wiser.
To be honest with you, I was just having fun. I was having fun. I just come out of a relationship that, with somebody that I believed it would go somewhere. Started to see certain things that didn't really agree with me. And I just thought,
not again.
Don't want to deal with the stress. I just want to have fun. I just want to live. At that time, it was meant to just be me and my son. I thought, cool, got one kid. We're good. Do you know what I mean? We're flying out. We're doing this. We're doing that. Life's great. Don't need any more kids. Took myself off to uni and met my daughter's dad.
At uni?
At uni, yeah.
While you were revising?
While I was supposed to be revising. Something like that, yeah.
What was you studying at uni?
Criminology and youth studies.
Okay. Was he in the same class as you?
We crossed paths. We had a couple classes together.
Okay. So he showed great study skills.
Yeah, very intelligent. So, academically.
I like the way you say academically.
Just throw that in
Nothing else in there. You decide this is the one. How long was you together?
I felt like I'd met someone who was going to have a major influence in my life.
Due to his intelligence in class? Due
to his intelligence, due to the connection that I felt that we had. Also due to the fact that he was older than me and
how old was he?
5 years older than me.
So you 30, he's 35.
35, 36, yeah.
Yeah.
And the conversations that we had placed me under the impression that he was at a stage in his life where he knew what he wanted. That he was a good man. He was a present father.
So he already had kids somewhere else?
Already had kids, yeah.
So it wasn't an active relationship like the previous one?
No.
Okay. And you were
as far as I knew. Okay. Let me just throw that in. As far as I knew.
Where was he from?
He is half Bayesian. He's small island. He's not Jamaican. That's why you're looking at me. Yeah, he's like small island blood basically. He's not Jamaican.
Half Bayesian, half.
It's gonna have to come to me.
Okay, that's what we get. What? So you saying there's no Jamaican in him?
No, he's no Jamaican in him. I just can't think of the island right now.
That's fine. Okay, so he's showing you great signs, great conversation. He's a good father with his previous relationship.
Talking every day, consistency, seeing each other. Do you know what I mean? Spending weekends together or whatever, dating here and there.
He met your son at some point as well?
Yeah, he met my son. Yeah.
Okay. Then you get in a relationship?
Oh, no, actually, I'm lying. He didn't meet my son until I was like 6 months gone.
Okay.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I didn't know what the situation was going to be between me and him, one. Two, it had not been long since I came out of a relationship. That person.
How long was you with him while you was pregnant with the Mr. Intelligent Bayesian
I was with
guy?
him throughout my pregnancy, but he was cheating.
No. So how long did you know him, got into a relationship, then got pregnant?
I knew of him for over a year.
In class at uni?
Yeah.
Then you got together?
Yeah, second year at uni.
Then you got pregnant halfway.
Very quickly.
You was having fun?
Yeah, taking contraception, but things happen, isn't it? They say 99.9%. I was the 1%.
Or maybe sometimes you just forgot to take the contract.
No, not at all. Like, it was not. I love my daughter and I'm grateful that she's here. I was actually pregnant with twins. So I do believe that the contraception terminated one of the pregnancies. Just my daughter was fighting fit and ready for the world. So she's here. But yeah, definitely took contraception. I was studying. Me and my son were jet setting. There was no time for extra bodies in the camp. You know what I mean? But, you know, obviously once I found out.
God's will.
Yeah, exactly.
When he wills it, it happens.
And the fact that my daughter survived, you know, out of the two, for me was just like,
and
she's meant to be here.
She's your photocopy as well.
I know, thank you.
So you're pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
How long did the relationship last?
Well, I found out I was pregnant probably 9 weeks into the pregnancy. Let him know. His first initial response was, I can't have no baby. I don't want to be there for no baby, blah, blah, blah.
Take a drink. Have a drink.
Cheers.
This is water, ladies and gentlemen, and she's having iced tea.
Indeed. Yeah, that was his first response. So I was quite defensive. Because firstly, my worst fear in my eyes was replaying itself. Oh. You know, and I was petrified, if I'm being honest. I'd finally got me and my son to a place of comfortability, financially, emotionally, everything. Do you know what I mean? I've now found out, firstly, I found out I was pregnant with twins. So at the time, obviously, I didn't know that it was just my daughter that was going to survive the situation. Had a scan at like 9 weeks. They said to me that they believed that one of the sacs was behind, which would have meant that I got pregnant twice in the space of a week, basically.
You were having fun.
I was having fun. And so, yeah, they basically didn't catch a heartbeat on one of them and said, you know, just give it some time, come back in 2 weeks and we'll see.
I'm not excusing him, by the way, Mr. Study Guy. But the fact that you were taking contraception,
it's all right. Contraception, I'll say it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The fact that you were taking
contraception,
it meant that he didn't want to have babies.
No, it meant that I didn't want to have babies because he wasn't taking care of
what he needed to.
Yeah.
But is that not because you told him you was doing it? So he decided, okay, if she's doing it, I don't need to do it. So he didn't know you was...
We didn't even have a conversation. I just went to handle my business because my plans was not to become a mother at that point again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So 8 months in, the pregnancy, 1 month later before due day, what happened?
I worked throughout my whole pregnancy. Financially, I needed to make sure that my child that was coming and the child that was here. No, because obviously by the time I was about 3 months, I knew I was only having one.
Got you.
The pregnancy was horrible. I was in and out of hospital. There was loads of complications. Well. Wow. I worked all the way through. I studied halfway through, did exams. Yeah, I did. Had my son.
So we graduated as well?
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Not yet.
It's coming.
Yeah, definitely. But I did my exams, did everything I had to do to complete the year. And then was sort of like, okay, I'll take a couple of years off. Worst case scenario, I'll go back when the baby's at school so I can fully focus. And yeah, obviously, you know, it was like, oh, I'll help out with this. I'll help out with that. Was supposed to come to hospital appointments, all of that sort of stuff. Didn't show up, didn't help out financially, didn't do anything, but wanted to dictate everything, the dynamic between us. And then I also found out that he was like overly friendly with somebody that we were studying with. And sort of just put my foot down at that point. I was just, I'm not doing this. Do you know what I mean?
So is this the point where you say you found out he was cheating?
Well, yeah, I don't have proof that he was sexual, but I certainly have proof that he was being inappropriate.
Both of them or just him?
Oh, both of them. Well, the other one, he's got a whole child to show for that.
Oh,
do you know
have a drink. Have some iced tea.
Yeah, the first one has a whole child, but the second one, it was more to do with his behaviour, other people's behaviour. Yeah.
So now, where is your mental state now? Because you're saying this is twice now.
I was horrified. And I was kicking myself the whole way through my pregnancy. It wasn't a good time for me.
Do you blame the men or do you blame yourself?
In that moment, I was blaming myself, but I didn't get to the bottom of why I was blaming myself until after I had my daughter. The big thing for me was, oh my God, how the hell could you have made a mistake like this again? You're a good person, you know, but what is it about me? Why I've allowed myself to be in this predicament again?
What conclusions did you come to?
My conclusion was that, I think I mentioned earlier, you know, I was in care from the age of 11, 12. Up until that point, my dad was very present in my life physically, but emotionally he was completely absent. And I think and my mum was completely absent emotionally, most of the time physically.
Was mum and dad together?
Up until I was about 12 or 13, yeah.
So when you was in and out of foster, mum and dad weren't together?
No, they weren't together, no. But the dynamics of my childhood was extremely turbulent, putting it lightly. And I think I developed particular patterns, which meant that I was comfortable with people who were not emotionally available to me. And I wasn't able to notice those signs. Is this person emotionally available to me? Are they actually showing up for me? Or, you know, the 80-20 rule kind of thing. Am I showing up as the 80 and they're only giving 20? And because I'm showing up the way I'm showing up, I'm obviously not noticing that this person's only giving 20 and I'm providing so much more to this dynamic. But I didn't realize that until, you know, I'd had my daughter, and I was genuinely in probably one of the darkest places of my life since losing my gran. And I was fed up. I was fed up of being in that kind of predicament. I'm a good woman. I work hard. You know what I mean? I take care of my family. In so many words, I say I man my ship. I don't necessarily need a co-captain. Do you know what I mean?
So you're a good dad?
I'm the best dad I can be. I grew up with 3 brothers, and my dad was present. Wasn't easy, but he was there. So I have some examples of what it looks like to be a good father, or what it looks like to coach or to assist when it comes to showing my son what good qualities are. I'll never know what it is to be a man, of course not. But I know what it is to be a provider. I know what it is to be consistent. I know what it is to bring home the bacon, so to speak. Do you get what I mean? So, and I know, and I also have witnessed and grown up with brothers who have been through all kinds of things on the streets, relationship dynamics, growing up with them in the home. They're all very different characters. And I kind of just used that knowledge in regards to how I navigated myself, or how I have navigated myself for the past nearly 15 years.
So is the second father of your child, is he present at the moment?
He's not present, no.
So you got 2 fathers who are not present.
Not present. And I swear I'm not the problem.
No. Like, we know when someone says they swear, you have to believe. I mean, look, you're doing a fantastic job with
Thanks.
2 kids. I can never blame you. I think it's a pattern it's forever going.
Yeah.
You know, the difficult, I think, single parent face, especially in your case, where fathers are not present, or when fathers got the kids and mothers not, it's just to show their kids that this is not normal.
Exactly.
That's the difficult, because then your kids are most likely to repeat the pattern. We hope they don't.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
they're most likely because they don't see the father.
It's possible.
And they'll be like, that's normal. It's okay. And then once they grow up, because you're doing a fantastic job, they'll be like, I grew up fine. I'm okay. So I think that's what if we could try to get to the bottom of this, and it's not a race thing, it's a human problem.
Yeah,
because
it is.
all walks of life are going through this problem. It's just some people are vocal more than others. I know your daughter's 5, she's quite young.
She's nearly 5, yeah.
Do you have those conversations with her as why daddy's not here? Does she ask?
She asks. She's definitely asked. She's at the stage now where she's constantly asking, you know, Peppa Pig, Mama Pig, Grandpa Pig, Daddy Pig. She's asking.
What do you say to her?
To be honest, I just say, I don't know, darling. Well, Daddy's not here today. Or maybe you'll see Daddy soon. I don't go into it. I give her an answer.
Just to keep her at bay in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? She's 4, she's 5 soon, and I just think that it's not. And she's very sensitive, very different. I would say both my kids are sensitive, but she's more visibly sensitive. You know.
Have you tried reached out to her dad?
Yeah, of course. Of
and
course.
It's still the same results.
It's still the same. It's unfortunate because I would say that what wasn't healed within me is what I was attracting. And now that it's healed within me, it's just unfortunate that my children's fathers are not in that place yet.
Are you waiting for them to be?
For my kids' sake, yeah, to a certain extent. I would be lying if I said no. But I'm also very realistic. And my son's nearly 15. In a few years, he's going to be 18. And, you know, to society, he'll be an adult. You know what I mean? So I feel like if I've been able to get a decent young man to this age, no trouble, studies hard, focused, compassionate,
that might be the problem.
Loving.
You know, when he studies hard, remember you met your second father studying hard. So maybe you should do homeschooling.
I don't. No, I just told him don't make me a granny before I'm 40. So I've given him the talk, but just a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
So,
but yeah.
Miss Music, how hard is it to be a single parent raising 2 kids by yourself?
It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly challenging.
Do you think people realize how hard it is and challenging?
No, not when you're walking into it. Of course not. Because to be a parent in general, you have to be extremely selfless. You have to know, you know, that it takes sacrifices. You have to put your emotions to the side in order to, you know, take care of your child. No matter how you're feeling today, no matter the disappointment or whatever it is you're feeling, you have to put your child's needs first. And that's not easy for everyone to do, especially for people who are not emotionally mature. And the reason why I say it took me a long time to get to a certain place is because I wasn't emotionally mature based on my childhood and my experiences. Do you know what I mean? It's only, I would say, maybe over the past 5 years that mine and my son's conversations have got more in depth. I'm lucky because he's intellectually far beyond his years. So we're able to have real in-depth conversations, you know, about how people work, you know, history, karmic cycles. I talk to my son about a lot of stuff because I want him to be able to have the tools and understanding that I didn't have at his age. And also to help him navigate himself through adult life. And I think the sooner you get them tools, the easier navigating yourself will be. So.
Wow. Do you think your kids realize the hardship and the difficult that it is to be a single parent? And how do they react to that if they do?
I mean, my daughter doesn't. It's just whatever mummy can I have. But I think my son, if I was to have this conversation with my son, I think to a certain extent he would say yes. You know, for instance, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I wasn't supposed to be working. I was injecting myself like twice a day to prevent blood clots. And do you know what I mean? I was going through a lot of stuff, not to mention other things. I was going through a lot of turmoil throughout that pregnancy. And I worked up until maybe 3 days before I went into labor.
Wow.
My feet would swell up. You know, my son would see the dedication.
Because he's 10.
10 and a half, nearly 11 at the time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So he would see the dedication and bless his heart, you know, try and help out. Mum, do you want a cup of tea? Mum, are you okay? Do you want me to run a bath for you? Small things, but things that meant the world to me, because it also showed me that he could see that his mum needed to be cared for too. And, you know, some people might think and say, well, he's not supposed to be taking care of you. But I think it allowed my son to develop a different level of compassion and understanding. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to be emotionally all over the place, but I do think it's important for children to understand that we're not robots.
Yes, because it's not easy.
No, and I think that a lot of single parents can achieve, or they juggle a lot and they make it look easy. I think I make it look easy. I do a lot. And I know that people look at me and think, how is she doing all of that? How has she got all of that going on? How are her kids so good? How is her son not a typical, you know, young black man?
Hoodlum.
Yeah, of unfortunately
not
what we
young
see
black
a lot
man,
of today.
Hoodlum.
Right.
Because there's
a
black,
white, all, do you know what I mean? In regards
yeah.
to his age, and he's on the straight and narrow. Do you know what I mean? So I know that for 2-parent households, sometimes are not able to achieve that. So I know that I've achieved major things regardless of, you know, the obstacles that has been thrown in my way. And my son is extremely clued up when it comes to people and behaviors, you know.
Amazing. So we've got 2 different fathers.
2 baby daddies, yeah.
2 fathers of children. Would you have more kids? That's a yes.
For a long time I said hell no.
Yeah.
But at this point, I would like to experience what it is to bring a child into the world as the healthy version of me.
Okay. So how are you going to choose that candidate? We know it's not going to be at uni.
Definitely not. Or
beware of those men who study hard. I'm joking, guys. Go study. Go do your thing. How do you pick the final candidate?
The more I get to learn and understand myself, is the more I get to learn and understand what it is I need in a relationship. You know, I know what I bring to the table, but for me, it's not about the surface level. And I think once upon a time, it was about the surface level. What
do you mean by the surface level? Was it about materialistic stuff, looking wise?
Do you add up on paper? Do you match me on paper?
When we say paper, we're talking about degree,
money. Are you making
money?
your own money? You know, what possessions have you got for yourself? What sort of social status, you know, how do you show up in society? When I was a lot younger, it was more like, can you protect me? Do I feel protected by you? Are you able to make your own money? Now, it's more like, are you aware of how your childhood has affected you? Are you emotionally available to yourself so that you're in a position to
So you would have this conversation with
definitely.
And what if he tells you what he wants to hear, what he wants you to hear?
Well, I think at this point, words need to match actions first and foremost. Do you know what I mean? And I'm in love with myself at this point in my life. I'm aware of the little girl within me and what that little girl needs in order to be happy, grounded, content. And I've got myself to this point. So for me, anything that makes me feel like that balance is being thrown off or compromised, then that's the end of that. You know what I mean?
Good luck to the next guy then.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Say that again.
What message would you have to fathers out there who are not very active?
You're going to regret it. That's like the first thing that comes to mind. What I will say is it's important to ask yourself why you're not showing up for your child, because it's not about anyone else. It genuinely is about what's going on within you. Because there's men out there who have, you know, that have mothers to their children who are a handful, who are a headache, who've got their own issues and problems, but they still show up. They're still consistent for that child. And that's why it kind of enforces the point even more so, that it's what's going on with inside of you as an individual, rather than to blame the other parent.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think it's extremely important to ask yourself the whys of why you don't, or why you feel like this, or where does that stem from, so that you're able to heal it and show up the way you genuinely want to show up, rather than allowing fear and past trauma to prevent you from, you know, having a great relationship with your kids.
I agree with that, Miss Music, and I think it's beautiful that you know yourself.
Thanks.
Because if you fully know yourself, then you be a better person to others anyway, and you will be able to see the red flags, so to speak, within others, and you can say, you know what, that's not for me. I'm wishing you the best. So that's very important. I think regret is there. I hope regret is there for those who don't see their kids, because, I mean, I would love to speak to someone who knows that there's another human being out there that's part of them, that they made, and they don't want nothing to do with that.
I think that regret ignites so many other feelings.
But regardless, is it not easy just to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm here now? No,
I don't think it is for everyone. Because in order to say sorry means that you have to take some kind of accountability for how you have not
and you have to do a lot of healing,
and you have to do a lot of inner work. And there's a lot of people that are not ready or willing or able even to address themselves. It's easy for us to say, oh, you did this, you did that, and you did this and you did that. It's not so easy to look in the mirror and say, well, you could have prevented that from happening if you did this.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people have the ability to self-reflect enough in order to make major changes. And that's, I think, why I've got to a place of peace. Because I know how much work it's taken for me to emotionally and mentally get to where I am now.
So could we say you're scared to some extent, that you don't want to lose all of that?
Definitely. I've worked my ass off to get to this place of balance, healing.
Are you healed?
I wouldn't say I'm fully healed, but I definitely say I'm on the journey of healing. I don't think that, you know, with
so it
the
just
sort of
goes
things
round
I've
and
been
round.
through. Yeah. By the way, Round and Round's out now. You started it. Yeah, I don't know. I would just say that it takes a lot of self-reflection. And because I've worked so hard to get to this place where, you know, inner peace, to be able to give my children the tools of what it takes to find inner peace. Yeah, there's a massive level of fear. Like, you know, I'm so zen. I'm so good. I think I would be frightened to kind of have another kid, or, you know.
Let's finish off with this. There's a young girl out there who's unaware of her future. She's thinking of having kids. And she doesn't fully know her partner. What message would you give to her?
Get to know you first. Get to know you first. For real, for real. Not, oh yeah, I like my nails done like this. I like my hair done like that. My favorite color is.
You see when you
what's
say
going on inside.
You see when you say get to know you first. I understand what you mean. Take yourself back to when we were younger. If an adult said get to know you first, you'd be like, what are you chatting about? but back then, the difference back then adults didn't really explain.
No, they would just speak.
So I'm asking you, when you tell a young girl or a young boy, get to know you first, what do you mean? What's that
what
like?
I mean
what
is,
do you do? Do you just go in the room and sit in the dark and meditate?
What I mean is, ask yourself, what sort of things make me feel good? What sort of things make me feel fulfilled, confident, whole? You know, what is it that's going on in my life personally that ignites my days, that makes me feel great? Because I think that a lot of us come from certain backgrounds where there's something missing. And a lot of that's missing is love, is affection, especially in the Black community, I believe. Yeah. And I just feel like the more you love yourself and the more you get to know yourself and your likes and dislikes for real, not what's told to you as a child, you should like this and you should like that and you should be like this and you should be like that. Not that stuff. Who you are as an individual without influences, parents, friends, community. Once you've got to that place, then you can, you know, sit down and consider, all right, am I going to bring another human into the world? Because it's a lot of responsibility.
A lot.
Especially when you don't know who you are and how you present in society as an individual. If you don't know how you present yourself in society, how the hell are you going to teach someone else to do the same? You know what I mean? And yeah, you can change nappies. Like me, I could change nappies. I could cook. I could clean. I went to work, did all of that. But I was unaware of what it really took to show up as, you know, a positive and strong individual adult in society. So I'm only teaching my son that now over the past 4 years, where my daughter's got she's more privileged in a sense of, from the very beginning, I know how I show up and I know what I want to instill into you as an individual. Whereas my son, he's learned a lot later, you know? So I just think, know yourself, truly love on yourself, and then you're good.
Know yourself, know the little kid in you.
Indeed.
You have come a long way. You've done a lot. 2 beautiful kids, 10 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
You still got a lot of growing up to do.
Indeed.
What do you want your kids to contribute to the world?
Their greatness, their talents, their compassion, their kindness, and their individuality. That's what I want them to contribute to the world.
I asked, only to say this, I'm speaking to a very good friend of mine. We always have deep conversation, how we can help the world. I said to him, I want to do so much to help our people. And he's always said, like, look, Francis, the only thing you need to do, the only thing you need to focus on is focus on your kids.
I agree. Yourself and your children.
Raise your kids right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to raise my kids right.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's going to raise his kids right. She raised her kids right. Everyone raised their kids. So when our kids come out, they're good.
Exactly.
So
and they also show up in society, you know, it's more of us in that sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we thank you for the hard work that you've done. We thank you for contributing to the world.
You're welcome.
Let's finish off with this. If I was to ask both of your father of children, that are you a nice person, what would they say?
They would say yes.
I like that. They always say yes.
No, they would. They would definitely say yes. They would definitely say yes. You know, I'm a no nonsense kind of woman. That's what the issue is. But for me, that's not an issue because I won't have any nonsense. And that's all I can say to that.
Is there anything else you want to finish off that I didn't speak on, I didn't touch on, what you want to say?
All I can really say is being a mother is the most beautiful and rewarding experience that I think anyone could ever have as a single mum. But you need to be ready. You need to be ready. And that way we're not going to be creating, you know, more damaged people in society. Fix yourself first.
Fix yourself first.
Yeah.
Miss Music, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. I know it's not
You're
easy.
welcome.
I made you relive past trauma.
It's all right.
I know you've healed.
Yeah, I've dealt with it. It's all good.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on most platforms, Jordan Music __1, and TikTok, Jordan Music 821.
Okay. And you did promise us that you're gonna do some singing at the end.
Gosh. All right, I'll sing something quick.
Oh, can we sing something about parenting or make it related to the show?
I'm literally going to give you like 3 lines.
I would take 6.
Did
you just give it a?
This is compromise. That was too funny. Okay, I don't know all the words though. All right, wait. You've got my phone.
We're recording. You want content, so.
Okay, I'll sing something quick. Forget all hope for the present, 'cause it just went away. There you go.
Wow. Gee.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Normally at that part I would try sing, but that was just so good. Just made me realize I can't sing, so I won't even ruin that. Wow. You know what? I didn't really catch that in the headphones. Can I hear that again, please?
Are you lying to me? You better replay.
Nah, thank you very much, music. It was
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
I won't even try. I was gonna say.
What were you gonna say? Here, I'll pass you the mic.
Yes, Miss Music. Thank you very much.
It's been great. Thanks for having me.
Amazing.